All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Collapsing with Casey. This is our 436,629th episode. So thanks, Joe Black, for making it happen for us. Um, YouTube, man, we've been on YouTube for over 20 years now. It's going great. Please, please keep hitting that PayPal and please keep feeding me because and my animals. I got a big snake behind me. She gets hungry from time to time. So trying to keep everything going and also hopefully put out some cool content for folks to listen to and check out. That's not anything like really what anybody else is doing. Joe, this is your second time, or by the
Yes,
math that I just did, this would be more than your 200th time doing Collapsing with Casey with me. Thank you very much for joining me today.
you're welcome. Glad to be here.
Give us we talked a few months ago, but give us a little bit of a background. This is a new episode, so a little background on yourself, and then we'll get into the topics that we talked about briefly, how the brain works, or how we believe we came into existence, us meaning Homo sapiens, human beings. What is the meaning of life? I really liked that's going to be a good one. The big lie that everyone believes, and then we'll talk about what's a resource-based economy and if maybe that could have actually saved us if that would have been implemented years ago. And then you've got some plans for April that are scaring the shit out of me. I don't like. I can't argue with your timeline. I can't tell you what to do. But man, I hope we can hang out for longer than that. But we'll save that for the end. No pun intended. So yeah, please, Joe, take it away. Tell us who you are and give a little background.
Yeah, well, I'm not really sure what I told last video, but my name is Joe Black. Of course, it's not my real name. It's my pseudonymous that I'm going under on the internet. I'm 48 years old at this moment. And I'm traveling through Europe for as long as I can, considering the collapse that is coming economically, ecologically. It's going to be tougher and tougher with the coronavirus lurking around. Hotels are closed, campings are closed, restaurants are closed. So it's getting real difficult, but I hope that it will come free soon again.
I love how you left, the working life, the professional life. Bought a motorcycle and just went touring on your motorcycle and until the end, which is what you're looking at is probably April. That's next month. That's literally days away.
Yep.
It's kind of got me freaked out a little bit. I laugh when I get nervous. Yeah, that's I love your story though about can you talk about what made you decide to say fuck it and quit work and get a bike and just hit the road for the final days?
When I left, I literally left everything in 2019, July 2019, end of the July. I was working, I had a good job, but I knew that I was only doing it for myself to quote unquote maintain myself, because I needed to pay my bills, to pay the rent, to buy food and everything money related. This is the only reason why I went to work. I didn't go to work because I was making the world a better place. I didn't do anything to help society become better or anything. As a matter of fact, I actually made the society a lot harder because I was working for the government, and it bothered me more and more. And eventually, I started. I learned about our climate crisis in 2017. One of my most trustworthy sources are Sam Carana and Guy McPherson. And when Sam Carana already said, well, we just hit the 2 degrees Celsius in 2019, and we expect to hit 3 degrees Celsius in 2020, I thought at 3 degrees Celsius, human life is going extinct. And this will not go from one day until another. We're not going to drop dead just like that. It's going to take maybe weeks or months or maybe a little bit longer even. But I thought now is the time. If I want to do something with my life for myself, now is the time to do it, because I may not have the opportunity to do this anymore again. So in July 2019, I literally, when I went to work for the last time on Thursday, because I usually didn't work on Friday, I secretly put my laptop, tablet, and phone that I got from my work. I put them in a big backpack and shoved it into my drawer from my desk. Left everything behind that I had from my work, and wished everybody a very good weekend, and went home. And I asked a friend if he could post something on my Facebook page, which is under my real name, and he wanted to do that. He didn't like what I was doing or planning. He was the only one that knew about it also. There were maybe 3 colleagues that I also explained what I was doing and that they will probably never see me again. And then on Saturday, I literally packed all the suitcases in my bike. I stuffed as much as possible as I could. I stuffed in there clothing. I put my tent on the body seat. I took my little kitten with me in a travel case, and I hit the road. I just started driving. And that was also the time that I was literally missing, because I didn't tell my parents neither. I didn't tell my employee. So there was a big police investigation going on at that moment where I was. They saw me one time more on surveillance cameras in Germany, and after that they lost track of me. And well, that's basically since the time I started driving. I already then, because I had very little money, I had about 2,000 euros on me. So I thought, well, maybe I can tour around for 2 months or so. If I'm lucky, 3 months. I will have to find a good home for my kitten. And I was already planning on going then. Luckily for me, I found a woman in Poland. She helped me with a place to stay. Eventually, she sent me back to Holland. This was the time that I wasn't missing anymore, because I also went to the police and said, "Hi, I'm back again." And I literally sold everything. I sold my house. I sold all the stuff inside my house, all the things, all the material things that just kept me into one place. I sold it all. I went to the bank. I took up my pension, my old age fund. I closed my bank accounts. Before I did that, I've paid off every company that I had an obligation with, like the phone company, the insurance companies, basically everyone. Most of them were a little bit shocked by the story that I told them. There's one company that was, they didn't have much with the story, and they were more like, you have to pay up now. So unfortunately, they are the only company that are still waiting for my money. But otherwise, in December of 2019, I sold my house and I started driving again. And that's what I'm still doing up till today.
Did you ever reconnect with your parents? Did you ever talk to them since you initially left?
Yes. My parents also, the first time I contacted my parents, they were, of course, naturally very upset. Pretty pissed, to say the least. But eventually that turned back to normal, because I was already very happy that I was still that I was still okay, and this kind of things. That helped me, because when I returned from Poland, I went back on the bus, not on the bike. And the reason why I did this was that I was very afraid that as soon as I would enter Holland, then all these companies that I just gave the middle finger, that they would tell me, well, you know what, we still owe money from you, so you can give us the bike. And that's one thing I didn't want to do. So I left the bike in Poland. And I've slept for maybe 1 or 2 days with my parents at that moment. And from there on out, they brought me to my own home. And that's when I started to initiate all the sellings, the selling of the house and this kind of things. I was very happy that I could sell the house in 3 months' time. Well, actually, it took 3 months' time, because when my house came for sale, it was sold in 1 week. So I had to stay in the home for about 3 more months until December. And after December, I went back to my mom, spent there for a few more weeks, just to make sure that everything that I wanted to make my journey just a little bit more pleasant, that I could order them. So I ordered a GPS from the bike, because when I left, I didn't have a GPS, I didn't have a phone. I literally had nothing. That I constantly, when I crossed the border, I bought a map of the country. That's how I navigated, and it was not optimal, because I constantly needed to stop to check where I was and to check where I was heading. So I bought a Garmin and a steering bracket for the bike. More things that I thought this can help me to enlighten my road a little bit more. And then in January 2020, let me think about that. No. Yes. January 2020, I took the bus back to Poland, where the bike was. It was still with my friend there. We had a relationship, this woman and I. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So in March the relationship collapsed, and I drove back again to Holland on the bike because it was in the middle of the Corona crisis, and literally all the hotels and everything was closed, and it was still cold at that moment, especially in Poland. So I drove all night back to Holland to my mom. And my mom gave me a resting place for about 2 or 3 days. Then I found a bed and breakfast in, somewhere else in Holland. I spent my days there for about 3 months. And then I noticed that the corona restrictions were getting a little bit less, so I could travel over the border a little bit easier. The hotels were going open again. The restaurants were opening up again. So that's when I started driving again. So first stop was Poland. I gave my bike a big service. New tires, new brakes, just a big service, so the bike would be in perfect working order again. And from there on out, I just started driving to wherever I thought it was fun to drive to.
Pretty cool. I like that. I like that a lot. We were you wanted to talk about the human brain, and I think this is really cool. Some of us have been kind of tapping into this information, and it's really, really cool. I'm excited to hear you break it down and what you have to say.
Yeah, the brain, the human brain. What I'm going to explain about the brain, it's not neuroscience. It's not something that a brain surgeon or a psychologist would explain to you, because they're more educated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain it in a little bit more of a kiddie term. So it's going to be light and very easy to understand for most people. So I divide the brain in basically two parts. One part is the part where you're going to walk or move. This part is I usually divide in two parts. The one thing is the passive part, which means it makes sure that you're doing the things that you need to do to stay alive. For example, your heart pumping, your blinking of the eyes, the things that you rather not be occupied with, and the active part. And the active part is the part that is being operated by the thing that's called you. The brain itself, the other parts, so not the movement part again, but the thinking part. It's one big neural network, and it stores all sorts of information. It's the learning capacity of humans. And humans are well known to maintain memories the best when they have an experience with a feeling. So if you experience something and you have a feeling of big joy or big anger, or the bigger the emotion is with that experience, the better you will remember it. You can think of it, for example, that if you're going to do things today which gave you very little feelings, if I'm going to ask you next week what you've done this day, you will not remember them because there were no feelings attached. Now, the brain itself, it learns by connecting emotions with your experiences. So this makes the brain unique to all people, because every person has a unique experience combined with his own feelings. So, for example, if you and I were standing in front of a tree and we would both climb into the tree, and You will climb all the way to the top. And I will climb halfway, and unfortunately I fall down from the tree because I missed a branch or I slipped, whatever. Then your experience will be that climbing a tree is very joyful, very pleasant. And my experience of climbing the tree will be that it is very painful and I should probably not do it again. So this is how people start to learn. The more this experience and emotion are being repeated in on a daily basis or just being repeated at all, in your brain, the connection between climbing a tree, the experience climbing a tree, and joy, in your case, will start to grow and will start to create a long-lasting relationship. And eventually it becomes permanent. Until you discover that for some reason climbing a tree is not that much fun. Then you start to rewire that experience with another feeling. But the growing of the neutrons between the experience and the feeling, that's what makes people start to believe things. Because, like I said, the experience of climbing a tree, it's not a fact that it is fun, nor is it a fact that it is dangerous. Well, it might be a fact that it's dangerous, but in your opinion, it's still connected with joy. So you believe that climbing a tree is joy, and I believe climbing a tree is not that much fun. So this is how people start to create their own beliefs on what they think is fun or not fun, or probably even dangerous. Another way of learning, which is, in my opinion, a more passive way of learning, is, for example, religion or school, where the experience is absent, but you get something told to you repeatedly, and you believe that is the truth, even though the experience is not there, nor the feeling. So the only way that people can learn something, that it is something is truly a fact, is by either experiencing it or thinking about it logically, of course. Otherwise, it's still a belief. And a lot of people believe a lot of things nowadays, like the earth is flat.
I know, that's a good one. That's amazing. The stupidity that people will take as fact is, and it's so scientifically wrong.
Yeah.
But it's insane to be alive and witnessing the idiocracy of our time. Idiocracies, I should say, of our time.
Yeah. Now connected to,
and that's how you know, that's how you're kind of seeing how people are, you know, obviously near-term human extinction is science. It's a scientific fact. You cannot deny the evidence that when ice melts, the planet's going to warm. It's literally that simple. And then it's, you know, and even growing from there and getting more detailed with greenhouse gas and things like that, it's still not rocket science. You know, it's very, the gist of it, and especially the way really good scientists can explain it to, you know, to upright bipedal hominids like us is very simple. You know,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, Sam Carana and Guy McPherson. You know, their work, especially Guy's, he's so good about just about breaking it down in a way that it's very simple. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's important. Like he even has to remember, oh yeah, people don't believe that they're animals. He has to remind people in his lectures that we are human animals. We are an animal. We're just, you know, we're very different because of our brains. Um, Other than that, we're really no different than, you know, than a lot of other animals. We both, you know, we're born different ways, but we all get born whether you're hatched out of an egg or given live birth, or you know, and then that being eventually dies at some point. But here we are losing habitat. Our entire planet is going to shit because we've overpopulated, fucked it up, and yet people will completely refuse the most basic information. Like I said, when the ice melts, the water warms, the planet warms, everything gets too hot. We lose our ability to grow food, which is already happening. Food at scale, I should say. So we're starting to run out of having enough food, being able to produce enough food. Um, that's climate refugees all over, and getting worse. We melt more ice and get
Yeah.
more toward the end. Um, did you have anything else you wanted to add about the workings of the brain? I didn't mean to cut you off if I did.
No. That's basically how the brain is working. So besides the fact that it helps you move around the planet, it's also creating your beliefs, and this is one of the most important things that is going to resonate through the rest of this interview. Also, I think that is, belief is not based on facts. If it is a fact, then it is no longer a belief. And beliefs are good because it gives you a good feeling. Because if you don't like the facts, you can believe something else. And unfortunately, you know, every person believes something. But I prefer to look at the facts, what is going on, and accept these facts rather than to, I don't believe it.
Yeah, or you know, people will just tell you you're stupid. Like, how in the hell is water warming when ice melts? Believing that, understanding that fact, make you stupid. But
Yeah.
we get called stupid all the time, so just learn to roll with it and just laugh at. And that's what I had the hardest time with. As I've always followed followed the money, followed corruption in government, and the way people live and really do treat each other, even their own family, and just how awfully chaotic and everything is just basically a lie. So I've always been on that path, and then seeing, you know, finding out about seeing our planet die and not being able to find answers about how much time do we have left and what are the real numbers of what's going on. How much ice have
Yeah.
we? How much do we have left? But, you know, all of that, you know, getting down into the kind of nitty or grittier of how bad things really are. And nobody wants to even know. They don't, it's like out of sight, out of mind. They just put it away. And
They
that
rather
has always fascinated me. Like, how do you not want to know about the fucking world that you live in? You know, it just blows my mind. And like you were talking about religion, you know, is pumped in. I like the way Doug Stanhope puts it in one of his stand-up specials. Was you know, they when you're a little kid, they pump all the religion into your head while you still have a soft brain, and they cork it in there with a bunch of fear, And like you were saying, you know, without any evidence, without just anything, it's just, it's true. It's true. Believe it. You shall believe in fear.
You only believe that, or the only evidence they have is just one book. And from that book comes more ideas like, yeah, well, I think it's like that, but they truly state it correctly. They think, which is another synonymous for I believe.
Yeah. So I think when humans began to realize back in time that, whoa, shit, we all die in the end. Then they had to create people had to create religion so that they could kind of justify and soften the blow of the reality of death. And then that has developed our brains into how it's so easy for the masses, I call them normal people, to just avoid truth, reality, and live in complete denial every day, you know. And I guess, I mean, we both knew even before we knew what the term near term human extinction meant. I think you and I both knew that we were never going to see retirement. The planet was not going to sustain what we're doing to it for another 20 years, or, you know, however much longer it is to people in our age brackets. Retirement's going to be coming up. I always knew that. And then that was one thing that made this information really, really easy for me to accept. Just because, you know, the first time I heard Guy McPherson say human extinction in 2030, I was like, well, shit, we have that long. That's cool. You know. And then it got a little things got a little worse. We melted some more ice, and now it's 2026. And I don't think we have until 2026. I think the people in the bunkers underground might have roughly to that era. So not much, you know. And of course, in the grand scale, you know, of life's almost 4.5 billion years. That's a high, you know, in time. Did you want to talk about the meaning of life?
Yeah,
I know you've got some good ideas on that.
This is I think it's a fun topic because, you know, most people have always wonderful ideas about what the meaning of life is. Let's take the religious people, be kind to each other, be good to each other, which is, of course, very recommendable to do anyway. But I don't think it is the meaning of life. I think there is no meaning to life. We are born, we live, period. That's it. The meaning of life is to be. This is also one of those things that made me drive away to flee my job, because, you know, this is one of those things also that is implemented, like the meaning of life is you go to school, you get a good job, and you keep growing into a multinational director, and then you go to retirement, and that is the meaning of life. And it's like, that's boring.
Yeah, that's kind of shitty that you have to wait so long and make it through all that just to get a little break at the end when your body's so just worn down and old and tired that you're lucky to even get any time, any retirement time, you know, even back in the day.
And nowadays, if you're going to look at the retirement funds of most people, they're not going to have a really good time when they're old. They will be shoved into some how you say, old man's house, you know, stick the rest of your days in there. So you've worked your entire life, And then when you're finally broken and used up, then you can make sure that somebody else is going to have a job nurturing you. So this is not the meaning of life. Some people might say that the meaning of life would be love. You know, we need to love each other. One of the things that I think about humans is that love is basically the only human nature we have. Some people think that human nature is also with greed and violence and this kind of things. And I always want to disagree with that because, you know, this greed and this violence, it's not human nature. It's what's been talked into you and you started to believe it. Because at school you learn that you need to earn your money and you need to go get a job, and your bank account that you get, you need to make it personal and keep it secret to everybody else, just like your wage that you're earning. And yeah, this is how greed starts to develop, but it is not human nature. If I'm going to take a look at a small baby that's just been born, there is absolutely no evil in that baby. He just lies there, he laughs or cries, and if you give him a little toy, he plays with it. So this is pure human nature. We want to care for each other. Unfortunately, our entire economic system doesn't allow that to develop our human nature. We want to develop that we are going to be greedy. So love in this case is also not a meaning of life, because it is something that we already inherit. So there really is no meaning to life, just more than to be, just be alive. And every other meaning of life that is being thought up by any person at all, that's his personal meaning of life. And my problem is that as soon as people start to shove his meaning of life onto me, then I have a problem with that, because you know that's his meaning of life, not mine. So why should I follow somebody's meaning of life like we're doing all every day? Most people do it every day. You know, get a job, find a good job, earn money. That's the meaning of life. No, it's not. That's your idea of meaning of life. My meaning of life is to have fun while I am alive. And I know that it is, you know, nearly impossible to always have fun, because as soon as you always have fun, then eventually that's not fun anymore. Like when the sun will shine all day, and that's for half a year long, then eventually that sunny weather is not nice weather anymore. It's just the weather. So and there's many things that needs to be done that are not fun. Like we have to do the dishes, we have to do the wash, we have to clean up our apartment. This is normal, but after that it should be nice to just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, when most people think that they want a job, it's really a big mistake. They don't want the job, they want the money.
Yeah, I love how you incorporate the meaning of life, you know, is love, and that's not something that we are. That's what we have in us, but you know, capitalism reads that out of us, and especially I would say late term. capitalism, because it's just gotten so much worse in the last, you know, I don't know. I mean, obviously, things got really shitty after 9/11. World was never going to be the same. You know, the war on terror, never ending war on terror. When they announced that, I knew that we were going to see the end. Or you're just going to war until there's nothing left to war, you know, and that's where we're at. So we're late stages of our final wars. Resources are running thin, and people are still out there like, have babies. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. Just like, yeah, it's insane. And you wanted to talk about too about a resource-based economy, and then on top of that, how that may, if we would have lived our lives like that, both in history, throughout history and through today, we might not be in this predicament.
True that.
All going extinct.
Before I go to the resource-based economy, I think it's very nice to talk about the lie that everybody believes, which is money.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because I think this is a very important thing to explain first before I go into the resource-based economy to show the big difference between these two economies. I'm sorry. Just like a vegetable, I need some water from time to time.
I thought maybe it was rum or vodka. Yeah.
So the big lie, most people, and I think really literally every person on this planet believes in money. And this is the point where I say again, believe. It's not a fact. It's a belief. You can only use money if you believe in it, because money is not based on anything else than itself. Money is not based on a gold currency, which still a lot of people believe, which has been cancelled in 1971, August 1971, when the American government decided that the entire Bretton Woods system should be cancelled instantly. They decided this one-sided, so they decided and everybody else should follow.
What was canceled? I'm sorry.
The Bretton Woods system. The Bretton Woods system is what's also known as the gold standard.
Okay.
Where they can tell you that 1 ounce of gold will be, I don't know, $10 or something. So they canceled that. And after that, basically all money became fiat currency. They launched a big book called Modern Money Making Mechanics. You can download it. It's very easy to find, and it explains perfectly how money is created. And this is a process that most people don't know about. And because most people don't know about it, it's just being accepted constantly as it is. Now, how it works. Basically, everybody knows that money is being printed out of thin air. So how this works is that, for example, the government says we need $100,000. I'm just going to use dollars for the moment as an example. It can be euros as well, but we stick to dollars. So the government, they just make a little note, a little piece of A4 paper, and they put some interesting scribblings on there and pictures, and it looks very fancy. and they send it to another company that makes money, and they say, we need 100,000 euros. So this company starts creating money. They start making banknotes. They start making coins. And once this $100,000 is created, it's still worthless. It has no value at all. Only when the money is being transported to the bank and it ends up in the bank's vault, only then it has value. Now, this is the first step in creating money. The second step is the bank is bound to something that they call the Federal Reserve or Federal Reserve banking system. And the Federal Reserve banking system says that from the $100,000 that the bank has, they need to be guaranteed that 10% is in the vault. So that means that from this $100,000, the bank can create a loan to a person of $90,000. So a person comes in, he by coincidence needs $90,000. The bank, they're not giving him the money, but they sit behind the keyboard, they make some finger practices and transfer the money, the $90,000 from the vault to this client's bank account. Unfortunately, the client's bank account is a bank account from the bank. So the bank receives $90,000. And the bank says, from this $90,000, we have to put aside 10%. And then we can, let's see, $81,000 we can loan out again. And this continues. So somebody else comes in, loans the $81,000, and then check the person who the bank receives the $81,000 again, and the bank says, hey, nice new deposit, 10% goes off. We can now loan $71,900. And from the 72,900, and this goes, I'm going to pick it up now. So this process repeats. So from the 72,900, they can loan again $65,610. From the $65,610 that's being loaned, they can loan again $59,049. And this continues until we go extinct. The problem is all this money is not coming out of the original $100,000 that has been created, but comes on top of the $100,000. So the bank created some paper and old iron, which is valued for $100,000, and they can continue to create money out of that for maybe 100-fold. And the biggest problem that is going to happen with this is that every time that a loan is being made, it has to be paid back with interest. So the $100,000 that have been created, you can put maybe 10% extra on it, and you already have to pay back $110,000, which is basically virtually impossible to do, because how can you pay back something more that hasn't been created? This is why at this moment, if I'm going to take all the money in the world, the full 100% of all the money in the world, then 3% of all that money can be touched by means of banknotes and coins. And the rest is, the other 97% is all in the computer. And if I'm going to take this 100% again, and I multiply it by 20, then you will find approximately the debt that we have to pay back constantly, over and over again. But we cannot pay back the debt because money is debt. It is created in debt. So we are running around, we're trying to make a profit to pay off the debt, but it is impossible. It cannot be done. But it keeps us in a hamster wheel, running around until the debt has been solved. It's like some magic fairy tale that's being constantly told, like, you know, we have to pay off the debt. If I'm not mistaken, about 10 years ago, they put another digit on the national debt count in New York because the debt was growing too big. And the problem with it is that everything, literally everything in this economy, in this society, is being measured by money. People can't think without money.
Yeah.
When they want to buy food, when they want to buy a new house, when they want to buy sex toys, if they, whatever, everything costs money. The biggest problem with it is that a human being has only 3 primary necessities of life, which are food, clothing, and a roof above your head. These are your primary necessities that you need to be fully able to survive. And our economy says, no, these are not your primary necessities. These are 3 too many. You can all measure it down to 1, money. Because if you have money, you can have all 3 of them. This is where people think that they need a job to survive, because a job will provide them with money, and their money will provide them with the primary necessities of life. And if they're lucky, a little bit luxury also. But the entire money, I would call it a scheme. It's nothing else but a scheme, because they keep creating debt. They keep creating money out of thin air, and it's up to us, the average consumer, to pay that back, which is impossible. Because how many people take out a loan? They have to pay it back again with interest. And even if you do not take a loan, I know that in Holland, for example, if you're will be late, for example, for paying a bill, it's also one of those schemes to create money, because when you're late paying your bill, they will charge you administration costs. So you have to pay extra above, on top of your bill for somebody who was just pressing a button to print this form out. So it just continues. Basically, money itself is fake. It does not exist. Because like I said, also in the beginning, in 1971, we stopped with using the Bretton Woods system, where we said that the value of money is connected to gold. And now we have that the value of money is connected to the amount of money we have. So the more money we have, the less it's worth. That statement alone should ring an alarm bell, because that means that if you're going to open up the money press, it means that your money will be worth less. So why the hell should you print more money? So far as I remember, the American government thinks it helps a lot because they printed in 2020 more money than they ever printed before. So this is one of the reasons why the American economy is going to go down the drain real soon, real fast, because they're going to see a hyperinflation like never ever seen before in history of mankind. Because money is literally becoming worthless. So taking this as a basis, that money is a scheme, money is a scam, it's worthless, then the only thing that is truly valuable on this planet for each and every person, literally every person on this planet, is time, because that is the only thing we have. We get born, the stopwatch starts running, and when the stopwatch stops, you die. And what you do in between this time, when you get born and when you die, this is the most valuable thing we have in our life. And all we do is chase a scam. Because the best thing that somebody once said, and this is the biggest thing about the scam, time is money.
It is, yeah.
They, and with they, I'm talking about the big bankers. They literally buy your time to keep you occupied. And if you do not wish to be occupied by the big bankers, you can live in the street or you can die, whatever you want. Because you will not be allowed to participate in the society because you don't believe in all the goods that the monetary system has to offer you. And this is also the biggest problem where we are now, the point where we have come right now, because everything in this economy is about profit. We need to constantly create profit. And when I was born in approximately, when I was born in 1972, and I was about 6 or 10 years old, I know that all the things that were built then, they were built out of quality. They were built to last. If you look at a television with a big tube on the back, not the plasma screens nowadays, but the really big televisions, they lasted for 10, 20, 30 years. Even now you can find televisions with a black and white screen that are still operational. But I'm very certain that if we would still be here in 20 years, you will not see one plasma screen right now that has been created today, because they are all built to die within 5 or 10 years, like a mobile phone. They're built to die within 2 years. Why? Because you're going to buy a new phone. This is how they keep making profit out of you. And because you also want a new phone because your old phone is starting to die on you, you want to continue working to get the money and to be able to get that new phone. The carrot on a stick. Because I'm just giving up one example, but there are so many examples going around right now where everybody just keeps running behind the money because they want something, and literally everything costs money except the air that we breathe. But because we created this economy where everything has to break down as soon as possible, so, or as fairly possible, between quotes, to keep the profits optimized, we created a system that really needs to produce very much. So we're going to dig up a lot of resources, natural resources, to be able to produce these things also. So we create massive amounts of garbage because, you know, it dies within 2 years. So we throw it away. We're not going to recycle it. It's too expensive. So we're going to throw it away. But we keep harvesting these little gems, the stones, to create new batteries and new chips. And we literally need to plunder our planet to be able to sustain this perpetual growth. Any person knows that on a finite planet, perpetual growth is impossible. And we're soon going to find out that it really was impossible. And it's all being driven by money. Because that, for most people, is the biggest meaning of life. And it becomes our fatality.
Yeah, and I think, you know, money and lies, such a downfall, which money is what creates the reason of money is what creates the lies. Like
Yeah.
people who are in denial of what's going on, you know, oh, well, we can stop burning fossil fuels tomorrow and things will turn around. Well, for one, no, it's baked in. And two, we're really going to stop fucking driving cars tomorrow. You know, even if the heat and the damage wasn't baked in, and we could stop it. All we got to do is stop burning fossil fuels. The planes are going to, if the planes stop, and none of the shit gets moved around. The trucks don't move. Gas doesn't get anywhere. Well, right, because we're not burning gas anymore. So everybody's just going to go out in their backyard and pull some leaves out and eat them or something to survive. I mean, there's just, you know, we've not been encouraged or even allowed in many cases to collect rainwater, to grow our own food, to even try to live sustainably, even if we own our land and don't have to pay it to the bank. And then if we do, we still get taxed on our home and our land. It's perpetual, never ending until it does. And yeah, it's crazy to me that people literally think that we can just, even if we could, we would just stop burning fossil fuels. The most absurd, you know, capitalism breeds a lot of ignorance.
Yeah.
You know, or we're going to Mars. We're going to Mars. Holy shit. Yeah, this place isn't habitable. Neither is Mars.
No, but maybe we'll do better than Mars.
What's that?
Maybe we'll do better on Mars.
Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to afford the plane ticket, so that's going to rule me out. Plus, I'm just going to hang out and go here with the rest of my Homo sapiens and my reptiles.
Yeah.
Jesus, what a nerve-wracking time to be alive.
Yes.
You know, and did you want to talk now about the resource-based economy stuff?
Would love to.
Yeah.
A resource-based economy. I learned from a resource-based economy in 2008. And when I heard about it and I started researching it, I loved it because this really was, humans could be humans, really live to the fullest of their potential. A resource-based economy, like the name implies it already, is an economy that is based on our natural resources. So now we have an economy that is based on consumer capacity. So we need to buy, we need to consume, and endless loop.
Yeah.
Because everybody needs to make a profit. And resources, well, they're somewhat important because they produce the consumer growth. But in a resource-based economy, the natural resources are the most important thing in the world. So instead of creating, for example, a telephone that is going to last for 2 years, they would build a telephone that would last for as long as possible because it needs to be durable. Because if something is durable, it uses less natural resources. The main thing that I loved about the resource-based economy is that money does not exist anymore. It's completely obsolete like this now, but still people believe in it. But it's something that lots of people find very hard to understand, that in a resource-based economy, barter does not exist. So money does not exist. And people just get what they want and what they need. So they will get their house, they will get their clothing, they will get their food. They probably need to spend some time to go to a store, pick it up and go back home. They don't have to check out, they just pick it up, go home, cook it, eat it, have fun with it. And I'm a little blank at the moment. This is one of the things that people find very hard to understand, because we live in a quid pro quo economy, society. I do something for you, so you should do something for me, or you should give something to me in this order. And this is not the case in a resource-based economy. Jobs, for example, they will be minimized. If you're going to have a job in a resource-based economy, then it would mean that you have to work for approximately 2 hours in a month. And you will not get paid for it, but you will do it because you will love to do it. Because you know that your contribution for your job that you're doing is helping everybody to become better. For example, you're going to have a job where you're going to check if the power supply of the city is still working. And yeah, people want to do that. If they really need to spend 2 hours in a month to go to a building and check if everything is working properly, and if everything is working fine, they will do it because they profit from it. The rest of the city will profit from it too. All other things that need to be produced will be automated. Right now, we already know how to automate building a car up until building a microchip. So we can build huge things and we can build small things. And usually the robot will do it better than we can because a robot does not get tired. A robot does not start to whine about, I need a break, I need a holiday. They just do. If you would put automation in our economy right now, this very day, you will lose 75% of all jobs. Because most things that we do in our job, they're basically constantly doing the same thing over and over again. And so if your job is repetitive, your job can be automated. There will be a few jobs that cannot be automated instantly, but eventually also they will be capable of being automated. And then I'm thinking, for example, about doctors and nurses. These cannot be automated yet because it needs to be very specific. But I also see a lot of computers and robots nowadays that can do an operation a lot better than a doctor can do. Precision operations. So it is possible and it will be possible. Processing of food will be automated also. Basically everything in a resource-based economy jobs is automated. So humans can actually start doing what they want to do instead of what they need to do, like go to a job. And I think this will be a very big change in the human perception of what life really is. A lot of things that, for example, can also not exist in a resource-based economy is, for example, war. War does not exist. A resource-based economy is not specified to one country, it's global. Every country in the world will need to change to a resource-based economy. And when every country in the world is connected or operating in a resource-based economy, then every human being in the world will have a house, clothing, and food. And they're being taken care of. And crime, for example, will also not exist because it cannot exist in a resource-based economy. Right now, crime, take for example, theft. We've made rules about what theft is, which means basically you take something from someone or a company that you did not pay for. But in a resource-based economy, you don't pay for anything. You get it already. So you cannot steal. You can only borrow. People will not feel the need to steal because they can get everything they want. If they want a cell phone, they just go to that store, pick up the cell phone, and voila. So there's absolutely no need for somebody to pick the phone of somebody else or steal the phone of somebody else because they can get it anywhere. One of the other things that I like very much about a resource-based economy is that there is no politics. There's no politicians. Everything is being controlled and monitored by a very large computer. And this computer, which cannot be reasoned with or be interrogated or threatened, will only be programmed to, check how many resources, natural resources, are around this village or city. And it will store all the numbers of all the natural resources that are available. So it will check how many fish there is, how many bananas, how many oil, gold, copper, name all the natural resources that we can use to create some produce of. It will all be monitored and it will all be put in one big database for that specific city. But that specific city is in connection with a city, for example, on the other side of the globe, which is also in a resource-based economy. So if that city on the other side of the globe says, we need more bananas, then the signal goes to the other side of the hey, we need more bananas, and there will go more bananas to the other side of the globe. If it's not going to endanger all the other people that also want bananas in the town where bananas are. So everything is equally distributed all over the globe to all humans, and we're going to operate then from a what do we need base instead of what do we want base. How can we grow as fast as possible for our own good? Because then our own good is not being connected to a small company or something, or a big corporation, but our good will be connected to all human beings on the planet. So everybody gets the best of the best that is currently available, and nobody has to suffer from poverty or hunger or any of those diseases that we currently have in our current economy or society. Politicians cannot fix all these things that we're looking at right now. Worse yet, politicians create the things that we're facing yet. Politicians create the poverty. Politicians create war. Politicians create crime because they have to say, this is now illegal, so now it's a crime. So this is what politicians do. And this cannot happen in a resource-based economy. The standards of living in a resource-based economy will increase so drastically for all humans that all those things that we are looking at right now, like, how are we going to solve this? Well, maybe we should start a charity or something. They cannot exist anymore. We will be confronted with completely new challenges, like how do we solve climate change? How do we go into space, exploring the stars? This kind of things, instead of how can we make as much profit of this product as possible. So yeah, I'm really a big fan of a resource-based economy, because all those things that we currently have, where I'm really sick of, they will dissolve in a resource-based economy.
I have a question about that though, because you were mentioning that if one side of the globe needed more bananas, they get it from the other side of the globe that has the bananas where they grow, if they can have it extra to divvy out. But that also involves fossil fuels. transportation and you know, so that
Yes.
kind of that kind of keeps us on the track of you know, even if we're doing less burning of fossil fuels, you know, that could be
No,
could have bought us some time.
it's different. One of the things that I didn't mention yet is fossil fuels are currently just kept in place by the big oil companies because it is profitable. But in a resource-based economy, everything is going to be electric. One of the things that they created right now, they have a train running around called the Hyperloop. And that is one of the things that were already incorporated in a resource-based economy. Far before the Hyperloop was already was invented. Jacques Fresco, which is the creator of a resource-based economy, he found out that, you know, if you're going to take a train, for example, an electric train, a magnet train, and you put it in a vacuum tube, it can reach incredible speeds. And he also found out that if you're going to take this train and you have to make it stop every time on a station, it's going to cost a hell of a lot of energy. And then it's going to accelerate again, which is also going to take a hell of a lot of energy. So he found a way to keep the train moving. You just get into a carriage, and the carriage is going to be accelerated, which is very light. And then when it matches the speed of the train, you're going to be shoved on the train and you won't even notice it. So it would be possible to travel to the other side of the world in approximately 2 hours with a train like this.
Wow.
There's literally so many things thought of in a resource-based economy with what Jacques Fresco has encountered. He made an entire restructure of how cities and houses will look like in a resource-based economy. All cities all over the world will be circular, because he mentioned that you know, if you're in a circle and you need to go to the center of the circle, it doesn't matter where you are in the city. The fastest way is in a straight line. So you can always get to the center of the city real fast in a circular city. This is not going to happen in a square city, or the dysfunctional layout of cities that we have right now, where, of course, once again, if you're going to take a city in a current economy, mostly all shops are located in one place. So everybody drives to that one place. And usually that's pretty long drive from where you live. And in a resource-based economy, they're all in the center of the city. So the further you live away from the center of the city, the further you have to walk. But in general, if you live on one side of the city or on the other side of the city, the distance is always the same. Also, because of all the cities are circular, the distribution of power, of water, of waste can all be centralized in a very easy and orderly fashion. And because all the cities are circular and all the cities are built by the same standards, the building of the cities can be automated. Because all the city blocks and all the the town centers, and this kind of things. You only have to put it into a computer, like, put it down like this, and the robot will put it down like that. So the building of the cities can be automated. So this is also not a job. One of the funniest things is that, because this sounds probably a lot like for a lot of people, like, well, everything is going to look the same then. But if you're going to look at the setup of a resource-based economy town, in the center you have the shopping center, and around that you have the production center, so where all the things are being built in that specific city. And from there on out, you start to come into the residential area. So then the first part of the residential area, it looks like a huge park. There will be small houses. So people who like to live on their own and, be more with nature, they can live in small houses. And with small house, I don't mean a tiny house or something. You will still have everything you want or need in that house. You have a kitchen, you have a bathroom, you have a living room. Everything is there. And the house itself is built in such a way that if a hurricane would pass by, it could withstand that. And it has been proven also. Because in Florida, Venus, Florida, where the Venus project has originated from, they have built already some of the models of the houses that were going to be used in resource-based economy. And I'm not really sure which storm it was. I think it was Katrina or something. And Katrina raged over California. And it drew a trail of destruction through California, but not in the Venus project, because all the houses were still intact. You could actually see by the dirt on the sides of the building how high the water was when the storm was passing by, but the houses were all intact because he developed the houses so that if, for example, a hurricane or a tornado would pass by, it would not be able to get a grasp on the house.
You're talking about
Also,
Louisiana, right? The Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana. In Louisiana.
Yeah, well, like I said, I thought it was Katrina, but it could have been another hurricane as well. They when they started the Venus project, they bought a large piece of land, Roxanne Meadows and Jacques Fresco. They work very close together, except Roxanne Meadows is doing it alone now because Jacques Fresco died at 102 years old. And they created one of those inner layers of the residential area, so the park area. And at first, it was just a big grassland, so there was nothing there. But they started planting trees. They started creating bridges. They started digging the little waterways, the small canals, rivers, or how you call them. They put the houses down, and they noticed that as soon as it all started to grow, they noticed that there were also animals coming in the resource-based or in the village that they built. So they saw deer coming in, raccoons, lizards, alligators even, I think. So they all started to live there also because it was so peaceful and quiet. And then you also have the outer layer for a resource-based economy city, where the big tall buildings are, where people like to come together and do things together. So you will, for example, have one big tower where all the musicians are going, and of course all the apartments will be very highly sound isolated, because all those musicians in one place. But they can walk around, they can talk to each other, they can share ideas together. So all the musicians will be in one place, and then you have another tower, and there will be all the painters, all the other artists, and you will have one tower which will house all the computer game fanatics. So all these people that create computer games, they will be stuffed in another tower, and then you will have another tower for all the people that create movies, and you will probably have a science tower for people who like to puzzle out new things to improve the condition of living. So literally everything is already thought up for in a resource-based economy. And literally everything in a resource-based economy, I feel like, this is how life should be. It should not be you are forced to do something to earn your money, and maybe you will be clever enough to get enough papers to really do what you want to do. But if not, well, maybe you can find something else. And don't forget that for all the things that you want to do, or you need to pay a lot of money. First, get a lot of debt to get that money, and then you go to college, and the debt. Don't worry about it, because it will be your future plan. So, and if you don't like the direction you've taken, well, that's okay. You just take another loan, and you just. So this is it's completely different, because you're not bound to your financial choices as you currently have. You are then bound to your choices. And if you don't like the choice you've made, you can easily just swap over to a new choice. You can do whatever you want to do, and everybody will support you. And this is completely different than what we have now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's all coulda, shoulda, woulda. But it's I like the ideas for sure. Definitely, it's definitely way better than capitalism. Capitalism is probably the absolute worst way to live, but unfortunately, we haven't much of a choice.
The biggest difference between our capitalistic system and a resource-based economy is that the capitalistic system is always looking for new ways to increase that profit. And a resource-based economy is constantly looking for a way to improve life for humans and all other life around them, by keeping nature intact as much as possible, and still being able to get the most out of it. That is, in short, the biggest difference between our consumer-based economy and a resource-based economy.
And then, of course, go ahead.
Yeah, we're in a resource-based economy. We're really going to look after other people, and we're going to look after our environment where we live in. This is also the reason why I think that if we would have implemented this, let's say 50 years ago, I still think we would have had a chance. Let's say 70 years, because then, like Jacques Fresco also said, if we would implement a resource-based economy right now, it will take 10 years to change the surface of the earth. And in 10 years, if we would have started 70 years ago, then 60 years ago, our entire environment would have been healthy because we would not have had the carbon dioxide spewing in our atmosphere anymore. We would have lots and lots of forests that we would have tried to maintain and nurture and take care of, instead of trying to sow them down because that's the only way that they're profitable. So if that would have happened, I think we would have stood a chance. But like Guy McPherson also says, we have this major cliffhanger right now called the aerosol masking effect, also known as global dimming. If we're going to reduce our carbon dioxide right now to completely zero, we will be toast tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is about the other lie about if we really could physically stop burning fossil fuels tomorrow. Yeah, the McPherson paradox, and if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah,
you know, fossil fuels are killing us, but if we stop and the particles fall out of the sky and the sun gets hotter, if we keep burning the fossil fuels, then we still heat up just a slower rate.
Yeah,
much slower rate. But we're kind of getting to that point to where we're crossing the line on not just carbon dioxide, but I think there's about 60 fossil fuels, or 60 or so greenhouse gases, with you just being one of many. And
yeah, nowadays we also have methane spewing in the atmosphere, which also helps a lot.
Yeah, I worry that the methane is going to get us, and then as things collapse, economies collapse, countries collapse, then we're going to lose the dimming, and yeah, so. And where do you see us? Because you have plans, you have exit plans for April, correct?
Yeah.
So what are you basing your exit on, as far as is it monetary reasons for you, or do you see everything going to shit in April and things heating up, and were we more crop failures, food, major collapse?
The first thing, of course, is monetary reasons. Like I said, I don't think that this society is going to last very long. I don't think that we're going to see the end of the year. I've seen this. I've seen this for about 2 years now, but every year I prolong my life. I see it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse on economical level and ecological level. They're both collapsing. So now that the money process has been fully operational in America, I see that the banks all over the world are starting to panic. Lebanon has already crashed completely. America is still in denial, but they already crashed also completely.
Forget it. That's what we do over here. It's how we do.
So I really don't see the point right now in trying to extend my life to go back to bureaucracy and tell them, hi, I need a job and I need a house, and then go for months to arrange everything because, bureaucracy is so very slow. And then probably I will have a job which will probably kill my soul slowly, like it did all the years before, because I really want to do something else with my life, like, for example, what I did the last 2 years. The eternal hunt to be able to survive in this world, just to get the money to be able to survive. It's really not that interesting to me.
Yeah, like you said, it's a hamster on a wheel.
Yeah, and so I said goodbye to that life 2 years ago. I refuse to go back to that life also. I've been in contact in December up until I think the end of January with 113, which is the suicide prevention line. They already asked, like, how good do you think the chances are that we can help you? I said, very slim. I don't think you can, because I can already tell you they're going to try to push me back into the economy and try to get me a job and then say, smile because you gotta fucking love it. So I said, I don't give you a lot of chance that everything is going to do. Well, maybe we find another solution. I said, well, you know what? Surprise me. Do your best. And he did his best. But eventually he really came back to the idea, like, maybe you should find a job. And said, this is exactly the point where what I warned you for. I said, this is not going to work. So we both said goodbye. He also asked, do you think this is the answer, to just quit? I said, yeah, I think it's a perfect solution, because, I'm going to solve all my problems at once. And I'm going to be very good for the economy, because, I'm going to put police to work, and I'm going to put the ambulance to work, and the fire department to work, and I'm going to put so many people to work. So economically, I'm going to be a bliss to everybody. But it's just this thing inside me that says, I think I've made this comparison to you also. When you would have the knowledge you have now of World War II, and you knew who the Nazis were and what they did, and then you would be teleported back to 1940, and you would get the option to work for the Nazis. You were a German, and you get the option to, put the juice in the oven, or stand on guard, or be just a soldier, or do the administration of all the Jews that were burned to crisp. Would you take that job?
I couldn't. There's no way.
So if I are going to ask me now, would I go back to an economy that I know is destroying all life on Earth? The biggest genocide in human history. Would I take that job?
No.
So, but it is the only way to get my monetary gains. And I refuse to do that, because it doesn't feel right anymore.
Yeah.
It didn't feel right 2 years ago. That's the reason why I left. And it didn't improve that feeling. So yeah, the first reason would be monetary, that I would go out. From the other side, I also think, like, I had 2 wonderful years. I've done 2 years exactly what I wanted to do: drive around on the bike, see wonderful things. How many people can say that nowadays?
Right. Yeah.
Because they are stuck in their life doing the thing over and over again and never fulfill their wishes. So this, and then the upcoming collapse, which I see happening very, very soon. Ecologically, I don't know. This might perhaps take 1 more year, 2 more years, and then still it will take some time before the entire human species will die. But economically, I see it go a lot faster. So it's for me, it's only a matter of time, months, before world leaders decide that we should maybe just bomb each other, because that will give us the most profit. And when that war starts, there will be very little life left after that. I prefer not to see that.
Yeah. And like we were talking about too, when the economy goes, world economy on a world level, obviously, that's going to trigger the loss of global dimming. So that'll, there won't be, once the more countries and collapse, then we'll see that happen. We'll see it rise very rapidly. It's heavy. It's so fucking heavy.
Yeah,
Well,
it's probably going to need a miracle if I'm going to be around on this planet after April.
well, let's put our heads together and see if we can come up with a money making scheme. Or do you have a way that if anyone listening, watching this, has a little extra they can throw you? Is there do you have like a PayPal or anything like that people can throw your way?
Like a what?
Like a PayPal or some kind of a bank account or something that people can send
I
you?
don't have a bank account anymore. Like I said, I closed my bank account 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish there was a way that, if anybody has some extra that they can way, we could get it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is heavy, man. I don't want to see it go. I've enjoyed, even though we never got to meet in person, we all kind of knew that, going into this information, we knew that we would, unless we live in the same country, then we're not going to ever get to meet. But it's been really, I've enjoyed you and so many people I've met through this information and dealing with it. That I hate to see my friends go. I completely understand. I don't know what the hell we're gonna do. Maybe grill in the bathroom or something might do it.
If
And you're gonna.
if something miraculous happens that I'm still going to be around after April, you'll be the first to know.
But I hope things continue on at least for another month or more. Because
Yeah.
it's fucking heavy to think about. And I mean, I'm more of like I want to go to sleep. You're gonna ride your bike into a wall at full speed.
Yeah.
Just it's although I think it'll work. I think it'll work, and I think it'll be quick. And I think that's what we want, right? We don't want to suffer.
That's it.
That's why we have a plan, or a plan that we hope works. I think yours will work. I think it's only like 15 miles an hour or something like that. At anything over 15, an abrupt stop to the human organs crashes everything into our rib cage, and that kills us. Yeah. I know somebody that almost died from that. He's actually one of only a few people that lived from approximately a 15-mile-an-hour impact into a, and he was on a bike, the car pulled out in front of him. Luckily, he was only doing about 15, so he almost died but didn't. And so yeah, you know, a good rate of speed. I think no pain, and so you know, I feel good about your plan. I feel good that you won't have any pain. The timeline is really, really tough.
Yeah.
You know, really tough for me. And again,
I've checked it out on the internet to see what is a safe, funny word, safe speed to make sure I don't feel anything.
Right.
And they said, well, at 160 kilometers per hour, you will not feel anything. Guaranteed. And I have a bike that can easily accelerate to 270 kilometers per hour. So nearly 300. I already found a perfect runway with a big tree on the end. And if I miss it, I will probably hit the wall behind it. So I think 200 or 240 should be easily reachable with the bike I have.
Yeah. Man.
I will not wear the helmet. I will first get drunk very much and then accelerate into it.
Yeah, the no helmet and the drunk part. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I'll probably have a few drinks before I grill in the bathroom. And you know, my plan could go to shit because my house could get picked up in a storm or something like that. And then now my grill got blown away and I don't have a bathroom anymore. So I'm always like wondering, you know, I can't wait too late either. Otherwise I lose my capabilities. And then maybe I'm looking for a cliff to jump off of, but I don't want to go up. So, you know, obviously if there's a fire behind me and I'm in a high rise and I got the window open, I'm going to wait until I'm very uncomfortable or starting to catch fire before I jump, you know, if the smoke doesn't get me first. Yeah, I hate to think about this, but it's something that we all have to, when we know that our time is up, we all have to contemplate. And you know, it's really frustrating that we live in a world, especially in America, we can take care of animals and have them put to sleep humanely. We can't do that for ourselves. That is just utter bullshit. But you know, and that causes people to go and do things that they normally wouldn't do. They might not know what they're doing very well, might fuck it up. Now they're even worse off than they were because they're not dead. Now they're fucked up. Just had somebody near here at a nearby exit just step out in front of a truck, a semi, on purpose. Just that was how they did it. I don't know why, but you know, that's. And then when you do something like that, then you know the guy that was driving that truck, man, what's he going through right now? He just fucking killed somebody. Yeah. He didn't mean to. It wasn't his fault, obviously, but now he's got to deal with that for, you know, the next couple of weeks or however long we have. At least he doesn't have to deal with it for very long. It's, you know, trying to look at it that way. Oh God, it's just I wake up every day and I'm just like, what? How in the fuck did we get here? It's.
I already thought it out pretty good. The last day that I'm going to be here, I'm going to race around on my bike all through the country, and just have as much fun as possible. At the end of the ride, I will park the bike at a safe distance from where I'm going to crash. I'm going to sit near a lake. I'm going to get drunk. Then I'll walk back to the bike. I will call 112, 911 in America, and I tell them where they can pick me up, and then I'm gone. So I will do this specifically because I also don't want that the next morning when all the people go out on the street again, and then they will find something splashed against the tree. So I want to make sure that all those helpful people will be there first and clean me up, so that the next morning you will just see some scratches in the wall or the tree where I'm heading at, and it will be done. No problems. Nothing but a vague memory and a nice article in the newspaper.
Man,
if I'm going to reach that anyway.
Well, hopefully we can do this again in May, but if not, like I said, I completely understand why.
Yeah.
But
I'm also hoping for some sort of nice miracle, but then it's not really a miracle if it's not happening, right?
Right. Yeah. Can we just pray it away?
Yeah, sure. Praying has solved so many people.
And this has been heavy, dude. Fuck. I guess we'll call it. Did you have anything else you wanted to add or talk about?
No, for the moment I've said everything I wanted to say. I hope somehow that with this interview I can enlighten some people that there is another way, or there was another way. If they don't know what's coming yet, they will soon find out. But I hope that they understand that politicians are not going to help them.
Yeah. That's I can't believe people even still vote. It blows my mind.
This is one thing that I want to add. Our friend Sam Spitzer recommended a series to me, On the Beach. And I watched it, and it was I thought it was a very good series. For those who haven't seen it, it's about a nuclear war that has happened. There are still people alive, but the entire northern hemisphere is clouded into one big radioactive cloud of all the nukes, and it's slowly drifting down to the southern hemisphere. And the thing I thought was very funny in this series, which might not be the correct choice of words, but the government was giving all the people for free a goodbye pill.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to look back into our current reality, I seriously doubt that our government is going to do something as generous when we're going to look at what's coming right now. I think that you want to die? Okay, we'll help you. And they're going to nuke you anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other option, is nuclear war to create nuclear winter to cool the planet briefly and buy some time.
There's some very heavy times coming up, and we're really not that far off at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. All right. Well, I'm gonna try to get see if anybody can help out financially, and maybe you have a friend that we can, if we get any money raised, we can put the money in their account and they can give it to you or something like that. But thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate your time. I know that's a lot to talk about and share, and so I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with me, and man, I love you, dude. I love you. We're
Love you too.
it's been a journey, and yeah, I still hope I see you in a few more weeks, in the coming weeks and beyond.
I hope so too.
If not, I completely understand, man. Time is short.
Yes, that is one guarantee we all have at the moment. And I'm very happy. Just going to repeat what I said earlier. I'm very happy that with the little time we have left, I was capable of getting the most out of it the way I wanted.
Yeah, yeah, that's I agree. I think you've lived more in the 2 years, your last 2 years, than most people do in a lifetime. So
Yeah,
that's important. I haven't worked since July when I lost my job, and I've just been trying to make ends meet. It's tough, but I could never go back to that situation and be around those people. I was throwing up every morning before work, and so I wasn't throwing up on the weekends, so that was nice. Um, and I haven't hardly thrown up since, so that's been nice.
yeah.
All right, take care, Joe. Well, hopefully we can do this again. I hope.